Hello, YouTubers. This is Joe Bravo and Mo Bravo's Knife Reviews, and I've been really excited to make this video. I have always hated, loathed, and really discouraged thumb stud deployment knives until recently. I was able to pick up the Peña Mula. I know you guys have seen that on the channel, and the Dukling from Cody Eutsler. Both of those knives have really redefined my experience with thumb stud knives. I mean, the first time I got it, was a spectacular package. Bolster lock means I don't have to ride the lock bar. Thumb deployment and a lighter deep tent really makes deploying this knife a dream. And I said, this is going to be the only thumb stud knife I'm going to need. And like everything else, you want to compare different knives to see, is this thumb stud knife better than this stud knife better? And I've been through a couple different ones, and I came across the Eutsler Duckling. This really makes me want to sell the Mula, not because the Mula is bad, but because this knife is so good and so fun to play with that I really could see myself moving the Mula, because as thumb stud knives go, this, from the acoustics to deployment to not having to worry about the frame lock being ridden, it is just a fantastic knife. I mean, you guys saw in the Eutsler video, I had three different Eutslers, and I didn't care about any of them except the duckling. I mean, it is just a spectacular, spectacular knife. This is my first and only all titanium Eutsler. I did have the bolster configurations, and I did have the micarta version of the duck, and neither of them are as snappy, as fun to play with. The acoustics sound better on the titanium knife, and is just a freaking ball. Um, so I said, okay, I got a really great thumb stud knife, and I've got a exceptional thumb stud knife that is also a very good front flipper. It puts skiffs in it, and it makes it drop close. So now, who else makes a thumb stud deployment knife that has the ability to be front flipped? And I came across the Maverick concept. This is the Asuka, and it's a beautiful knife made by Nick Marshall out of Pennsylvania. And this is a terrific front flipper. I mean, this is right on par with the Shams, with the Burgers. If this was just a front flipper, I think I'd still be okay with it. But it has thumb stud deployment. One of the knocks on this knife, and it's not a knock on the knife, it's a knock for me, is the frame lock. I'm trying to get an inset lock version of this knife, but they don't come up too often. So in the interim, I do have this Asuka, and I'm telling you, the front flip is fantastic. The thumb flip is fantastic. What I tend to struggle with, as you can see, is deploying the knife from the Spidey flick. There isn't a lot of relief on the back side of this knife, and with that, I don't have a good ramp up as I do on the Eutsler. See the spacing between the thumb stud, and you see how thin it is, where the stud actually protrudes up a little bit, and the Duckling has an awesome, awesome, awesome lighter detent. The detent on the Asuka is certainly stronger. It is certainly more prominent, which is probably why the front flip action is so great, so dialed in. If I put any pressure on the frame lock, I do struggle to deploy it. And it is kind of one of the only knocks about this knife I have. Other than that, I love it. I mean, it is so fidget friendly. It's on bearings. It drops. One shake shut is great. Just an all around great knife. Oh, and it's nice in the pocket. You know, um, I'll tell you, the Mula is probably a B on being in the pocket. Uh, the Duckling, it's an A, nice and deep. You don't even feel that it's in there. I'd have to say the Asuka is an A as well. It's got a really great footprint, and I'm really happy with it. I can't wait to get my hands on an inset but like I said, they don't come up too often. Okay, so I got three great thumb stud knives, and I said, well, if I've got three great thumb stud knives, how do I compare them against something that is known to have a great action, and how does that compare? So I was able to pick up a CMF Omega, and just a wicked blade shape, really cool. And that mother of pearl, I mean, I know you can see it in the video. It just shimmers. It is a beautiful piece. It's actually abalone, and the only reason I picked that up is because the Maverick also has abalone, and I wanted to see how they compare. And there's no comparison. This CMF abalone is spectacular. When this thing gets in the light, it almost glows. Like the Maverick, this has multiple deployment methods. I can use the flipper tab, and I can use the thumb studs. This is a great action, great drop shut. There's a lot of weight in the front, so it definitely closes nicely. All in all, great blade. But I don't care for these thumb studs. I really, prefer the thumb studs on the, I don't know, the Mula or the Dukling, or even the CMF. Um, the way these thumb studs are, they kind of protrude outwards from the base, making them a little thicker. And just my fingers don't care for that. They kind of push down on the fingernail, and I know we're getting into fucking splitting hairs, but it's just not my favorite flipper. It does, however, have a better ramp up or spacing between the frame lock and the thumb stud, which I really like. I can get my finger in there and I can give it a great flick, which unfortunately with this guy, I don't have that ability. And I really just think it would be something that would make that knife, the Maverick Asuka, even better if there was just a little bit more relief there. But, I'm not a knife designer. I'm not going to tell Nick how to make his knives. And, that's why you get them, you try them out, and you see which one fits best. And it's hard because, I don't think the CMF is going to stick around. I really think the Asuka is going to stick around. I think the Mavericks or the Duckling's going to stick around. And the Mula, I had a little bit of a conundrum thinking about this the other night. I carried the Mula, and it is exceptional. It does everything well. But I'd say the thumb stud or the front flipper deployment is probably let's call it an 85% out of 100, whereas the Asuka is probably a 95 out of 100. It's just great. The thumb stud deployment for your thumb on this guy is great. It's great. It is a little bit of a reach to get down there for me, so I'd call it like an 87, 88. Whereas the Asuka, I feel like it's right in the right spot for my ergonomics. And as long as I keep my hand off the lock bar. So I'd put that as a 90. Um, the Mula, on the other hand, on the Spidey flick, I mean, it's perfect. It's would be perfect if I didn't have a duckling. So now that I have the duckling, I consider that like a 95. And the Spidey flick on this, when you get it, and you're not riding a lock bar, it's probably an 85 to a 90. When you don't get it and you try and do like you have a duckling or you have a Mula, then it gets down to like maybe an 80. Which is fine. It's great. It's a multiple deployment knife, and it's great that you have all these options. I mean, think about it. I can't front flip this. So it better damn well be good as a reverse Spidey flick and as a thumb flick. Otherwise, what the fuck do I have it for? This Mula really does all three well. If I totaled up the points and gave it an average, I don't care. It's a great knife. And, this is what I was trying to come up with, the conundrum I was telling you about. Both of these knives do the exact same thing very, very well, with one being a little bit better in one area versus the other. And I thought to myself, do I need both knives that have the exact same ability between the two, or is it redundant? Because you guys know I don't like to have a lot of redundancy in my collection. And I'm going to be honest with you. I keep saying yes. Yes, I could own both of these knives. They are slightly different enough that both knives can be used or can be carried and can be in part of a collection, that they do both of the same things. They both do it a little bit differently, and they both are a great choice in a collection. And that's what's great about this hobby, I mean, I like to not have that redundancy, but son of a bitch, these knives excel so well at the things that they do that it makes you have to keep them in your collection. So, I just wanted to share that with you guys, see what you think, see what your perspective is, see if you had a Mula or an Asuka and what you guys feel about it. And if you haven't, I certainly recommend giving it a shot. So, thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. And can't wait to have a new video for you guys. I do have a Merkin ultimatum incoming and a Shamwari 3.5. So fingers crossed all that goes well. You guys have a great rest of your week and look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks.